So first, I would like to introduce the Commissioner of Education, Dr. Ken Wagner, is in the building, and I'm so excited to be speaking with him this afternoon. A lot of stuff happening. Come on in.
Hello, hello.
Dr. Wagner, how you doing?
Good to see you.
So nice to see you as well. So thank you so much for joining us in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. The Summer Food Service Program has kind of already started, but you're having the official kickoff tomorrow. So just so people kind of have an understanding about this, why don't you kind of talk to us about what's happening? A pretty big program here in Rhode Island.
Absolutely. A large number of our students across the state rely on food that they receive from their school during the school year, but those numbers drop off during the summer. So we're trying to increase participation in this summer program so as many students as we can possibly serve will get access to a good, nutritious lunch over the course of the summer. We believe that part of being educated and achieving is being well and having good meals and being prepared to learn. So this is an important part of that project.
And I think the two go hand in hand, right? I mean, being able to, if you're hungry, you can't learn.
Yeah.
And so continuing to have a full stomach, whether you're in school or out of school, is a crucial part. Talk to me a little bit about the numbers and the participation. How many people on average, or how many meals do you serve, kind of how you measure it, has been in the past, and kind of what are your goals for this year?
So the summer program is not as well participated as during the school year. In a 2-month period during the school year, we serve about 2.5 million meals over 2 months. Over 2 months in the summer, it drops. The good news is that we've increased by 50% since 2013, but we're only at about 400,000 meals during those 2 months in the summer. So we have a large way to go. We want to increase it, and communicating to the public this way is one of the ways that we're going to increase those numbers. Basically, communities are eligible for the summer meals program if they have at least 50% of their students are eligible during the school year. But then once a community is eligible, all children up to the age of 18 are eligible in those communities.
That's great.
To come and get a lunch, a nutritious lunch. And if anyone has questions about where the community opportunities are, you can look at our website, or you can call the United Way 211 helpline, and they'll help point you to where those locations are.
Yeah, and I was just looking, and the website that you have, it has incredible data, and just some of the communities that are participating, anywhere from North Providence, East Providence, Cranston, Central Falls, Johnston, Westerly, West Warwick, Newport. I mean, a lot of different places providing a lot of meals. I mean, there's snacks on here as well. So when it comes to looking for participation, I mean, is it a good thing to have children be able to come to have lunch, or are we trying to move away from that? You know, because you're saying you have 2 million kids that you're serving, but it's kind of tough. You know, you want those numbers to increase, but then it's almost like, well, we don't, right?
Yeah. So we want.
It's tough.
We want, and this work is all tied together. The governor has been very strong on promoting economic development and promoting academic achievement. The first gentleman has been very strong on promoting access to nutritious meals as a way to support student learning and achievement in school. So I see the two as connected. Of course, we want to grow our economy, so fewer and fewer people need access to free and reduced price lunch. But while that need exists, we want to make sure as many people as possible participate in it. One of the things that I have a charge to do through the governor is the 3rd grade reading challenge, getting 75% of our students up to proficiency reading by the time the students who were born last year hit 3rd grade in 2025. And access to school nutrition is a big part of our 3rd grade reading challenge, because if students are coming to school hungry, they're not going to be able to learn as well as they should learn. And we have reports for students who rely on schools to get access to a nutritious lunch. And during the summer, if they don't know where those meals are available, sometimes they go to schools that aren't participating in the program, and they're looking because they're hungry. So we want to make sure where the need is, we make sure the students know where to go to get that need met.
Exactly. And there is the kickoff tomorrow. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure, it's in Central Falls. The first gentleman will be there with us, as well as other dignitaries, and it's really just to call attention to the fact that this program exists, to get some media coverage to help the public understand, and to spread the word.
Exactly. And so I also was curious, is where do we get funding for this to be able to provide children and teenagers, because it goes up to the age of 18. When you're 18, you're not so much a child anymore, right? Are we getting the funding to access this nutritional food?
It's federal funding, so it's part of the free and reduced price lunch federal program that then there's also funds for summer participation as well.
And so the concern with, whenever you're following the money and you hear federal funding, there has been a concern with when it comes to budget cuts, what programs are going to be cut? Is this program in jeopardy at all for Wagner's?
No, this is one program that I think all sorts of folks have realized the value and importance of it, so this has not been part of the reductions that have been proposed for this year.
Okay, so we can count on this for now. That's what we're looking forward to. So for children who are looking forward to access to this, and it looks like from just the what I've seen here is that running all the way through August. So the kids out there, once they head back to school, then it doesn't look like there's any gaps.
Yeah, and that's the goal, really, that there would be no gaps. Just like there should be no learning gaps over the summer, there should be no food gaps over the summer.
Talk to me a little bit more. You mentioned on that third grade reading initiative. Talk to me a little bit more about that. What goals are there implemented over the summer?
So a big part of our third grade reading plan is to take advantage of all the supports and services that are currently in place, but to coordinate them better. The experience for families who are raising young children shouldn't be confusing. It should be clear, but currently, because our services, although they're very good, are not necessarily coordinated, sometimes it can be very confusing for families. So the governor has reconvened the Children's Cabinet, which is the agency directors of all of the different agencies that serve children and families, not just the obvious ones like Education and Health and Human Services, but also our Department of Labor and Training to get more and more families into jobs and prepared for those jobs. So our charge is to make it easier for families to access the services that we provide. So that's a big part of the third grade reading challenge, is to coordinate health services, medical services, nutrition services, educational services. The other big part, of course, is to get students ready to learn by the time they show up in pre-K and kindergarten through things like family-based literacy and community-based literacy. Reading starts in the family. It needs to continue into the community. And then by the time they get to our schools, students are ready to learn. And then, of course, our professional teachers pick up and they take them over the finish line. Our goal, we're currently at about 39% proficiency in third grade. Our goal by 2025 is to hit 75% proficiency.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why that's such an important goal is whether or not you read fluently and joyfully by third grade says a lot about whether or not you're going to struggle in the rest of your school years. It's related to whether or not you graduate on time, and it's also ultimately whether or not students read fluently by third grade and graduate or not on time predict future life outcomes like employment or not, unemployment or employment, incarceration or not incarceration. So this is a really big deal, and school nutrition is a part of it.
So that data shows that third grade is really that milestone. So we're really trying to hit on that third grade mark.
Third grade is the shift where we shift as a system from teaching students to read to being able to know how to read in order to learn. So it moves from learning to read to reading to learn. And so it's a really important milestone. And also, if students are older than third grade and they're still struggling, reading is painful for them, then they start to get discouraged and so on. So it's a really important goal. I think the governor was smart to pick that as a goal.
I like that. Well, I'm sure you probably had some input on that too, right?
Yep.
I want to talk to you, just as we're kind of sticking with goals and targets, just before you go, because I know you do need to get out of here.
You know, goats eat a lot. So as we're talking about summer food, we have to make sure that if we put them in front of food, they will eat it.
Yes, that is very true, and I don't think the goats are here quite yet. So, but the goats are coming. And didn't you say? Were you looking up the goats bite?
They do bite. Goats bite. They don't have top front teeth, but they do bite. Especially the pygmy goats. You got to be careful about that. They bite each other. So when Roger and Ginger get here, you got to make sure that you don't let them bite each other.
You've just done all this research just in the past 5 minutes.
These are things I worry about.
Well, I'll try to make sure they avoid you. But I'm kind of curious, just while I have you here, just how are you feeling about, because you've just provided this layout on goals to get the third grade moving forward with the program by 2029, you mentioned, right?
2025.
2025, okay, off by a few years. Just kind of, how are you feeling about Rhode Island school performances overall? You did just release, I was reading up on the graduation rate for Rhode Island public students. It's at the highest ever. Talk to me just how you're feeling about the state of Rhode Island public schools or performances overall.
Yeah, I think we're doing lots of great work. Our teachers in schools are doing lots of great work across the state. The challenge is, even though we're doing great work, we're not improving fast enough.
Okay.
So for me, that's the main goal, is can we set the conditions so we continue the direction that we're moving in? All of the answers that we need to solve our education challenges in Rhode Island exist already in Rhode Island. We just have to do it faster.
Okay. Okay. And that graduation report, really interesting when you read into it, just some of the numbers that they have. And talk to me, because you just said we're not doing it fast enough. What are your thoughts about underperforming schools, and what do we do about them?
Yeah, so that's it needs to be a comprehensive approach. We need to think about all of the variables that impact student achievement, including things like nutrition, access to health care, insurance coverage, all of those kinds of things. And then we also just need to focus on challenging students more and just presenting them each and every hour of each day with the best quality instruction we can. So like I said, we're doing all of the right things. We just need to stay on that course and do it faster. One of the things with graduation rates is we introduce this idea of a student pathway. So students, it should not be that every kid, even though kids are different, every kid moves through our system in exactly the same way. Students are different, so their pathway through the system needs to be different. So that gets at not just the rigor and the challenge of education, but also whether or not students feel engaged, whether they feel it's relevant, whether they feel it speaks to their strengths and their interests. Although there are definitely certain things that all students need to be able to do. They need to be able to read well, for example. We also need to make sure that we're not just cramming students into the system, but we're adapting the system around the kids. So we're really excited about the Pathways work. There's people all across the state that are working hard on it. Now we just need to do it fast.
Do it faster. Do it faster. And putting those implementations in place. You feel like you have a consistent goal set up? I mean, you already talked about the reading program for third grade by 2025. Do you feel like you have consistent goals set up?
Yeah, so we have our federal accountability plan that we're in public comment now, and we'll submit it in September, and that includes our traditional measures of success like test scores and graduation rates.
Yeah.
But it also includes and recognizes the importance of climate and culture in a school. So schools can be happy, growth-oriented places, or they can be sad, kind of hunker down, fearful places. So we're trying to measure climate and culture through things like surveys. We had a survey that we put out to all students, families, and teachers across the state with like 80% participation from students and teachers.
Wow, that's great.
But so we have measures like chronic absenteeism that factor into whether or not a school is a happy, cohesive place, suspension rates that again factor into whether or not a school is a cohesive, positive place. And then we also have some non-traditional indicators like our kids graduating high school with credentials that mean something when they leave high school. So are they graduating with college credit? Are they graduating with AP courses? Here come the goats. AP courses at a certain level. Are they graduating with an industry credential? Those things mean something when they get out of high school, so we need to make sure that they're on the roadmap when they're still in high school. So a lot of exciting.
That's great, and really interesting to know that many people are participating not only in their education but working to provide insight and trying to make the whole system better and more informative. I like that. This has been such a pleasure to speak with you, to get some insight, to talk about the summer food program, and exciting to kick it off all tomorrow. Officially kick it off, right?
Officially.
It's already started, but officially kick it off. Anything else you want to talk about?
Goats eat poison ivy.
They do.
They eat poison ivy, which is a very strange characteristic to have. But
they eat everything.
From a kid's perspective, goats eat greens, and kids should eat greens too.
Kids should eat greens. I like it.
Poison greens.
Don't eat poison ivy. Stay away from it. Avoid it at all costs. Dr. Ken Wagner, the commissioner, I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. Hopefully you can enjoy. I know you're always a very busy man, but I hope you can enjoy your summer just a bit. And thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Good to see you.
I appreciate it. Good to see you.